It's Tuesday, April 3rd. Welcome to Pastor Bob Daily. Thank you so much for sending in so many great questions and comments. I go through all of them, I write them all down, and I'm really backlogged. There are many of them, and it'll take me probably at least another month to get through them all. So have patience, I'll get to them. And again, thanks for writing and thanks for commenting on the podcast. Lunar, my friend on Facebook, says, why do Christians complain about nations that seem to force one religion? Speaking about choice, at least here in America, Christians don't seem to want to believe Christianity is a choice. They want their chosen beliefs to be, in a sense, forced upon everyone else, regardless of their beliefs. We can't even agree on what is biblical within the churches. Literal versus non-literal, legalist versus non-legalist, etc. We see the damaging and sometimes lethal consequences of that. The ideal of that, these same people in control, well, we have seen that. And Lunar, yes, we have. How do you legislate a religion? And even more so, how do you legislate Christianity? Pretty tough. And one of the reasons that there are so many churches around is because we do struggle with this. I live here in Nashville where there are more churches per capita than any other city in the world, I believe. And even though that's true, man, there's such a difference with them, and everybody fights against each other, and everybody says we are the true church. We're the ones that are the most enlightened. We're the ones that have it down. We're the ones that really are rightly dividing the Bible correctly. We all like to think we are. But you know, if I'm going to be honest, I have to say that over the 55 years now that I've been a Christian, things have been very different for me. You know, things that I have once believed doctrinally, I've kind of changed my mind on a little bit. I've gone from one place to another many times, and I like to view myself more as a student than a teacher, because I still think I'm really learning a lot. And I want to keep an open mind so I never get stuck in that rut. But you know, I could have at one time or another visited almost any church in Nashville and agreed with them at one point in my life. You say, Pastor Bob, you sound like you're really wishy-washy in your doctrine. Well, that may be true. But I've had an open mind, and you know, my balance has never been, my desire has never been to simply find something that works for everybody and stick with it. My desire has always been to find truth and to stick with it, and that's a lifelong pursuit. So here's where we get into trouble. Whenever we feel like we're finished, that we have it all figured out, that we know every point of doctrine, we know what is correct to believe, you know, all of those things, then we're in trouble. Really, then we're in trouble. Because you see, God really intended for us to be students for life. Now, there are things in the Bible that are very obvious, and when you study, you learn more and more and more. But if you're like me and honestly studying, you're probably going to change your mind on a few things once in a while. So how does that translate then into legislating a particular church with particular doctrine? That can be a little tricky. I don't have all the answers to this question, honestly. I can see where a religious base, especially a Christian base, for operating a country or a company or whatever it might be, has some advantages. You know, the moral attitude, the moral atmosphere, reduction in crime, hopefully. You know, the desire to do the right thing instead of to see what we can get away with. And I'd like to say that that's where all Christians stand, but, you know, we've seen all the hypocrisy in the church, and I'm sure I've contributed my share to it. We've seen how many times Christians are more dishonest than non-Christians in some businesses. We've seen how some of the Christian industries have been more dishonest than the secular ones. And I'd love to say that we've gotten it all right, but we haven't gotten it all right. So to legislate something is a pretty tough thing. It really starts with our heart. And we don't have to legislate something if we begin to live it. There's the key. If more Christians were honestly living their Christian life, we wouldn't have to worry about trying to pass bills and trying to real hard to legislate our belief system. People would simply fall in line as they fall in love with our Savior. The problem is that a lot of people don't want anything to do with Christians because they don't see anything worthwhile. They don't see a huge difference, and they don't see those people with changed lives. They just hear their rhetoric, and they don't want any part of it. So the answer to this question, and Lunar, it's a great question. Live your life. Don't legislate it. Live it. Be honest. Be transparent. Admit your mistakes when you make them. Admit that you're still learning. Admit that you don't have all the answers. And admit that you found the answer and you're trying to get to know him. I hope that helps. God bless you. Have a great day.